All right, so here is what our motor looks like. It is a force pull start. Um, Here's what our carb looks like, just real quick, and then we'll dive into it. Okay, so I have had a lot of people asking me, well, suggesting to me more or less about my T-Max. Telling me to try different exhausts and stuff like that. And, I would, but this is one of those traxxas drop-in mid-block type motors. It's not your typical, 0.28. So it's got a mid-block design, and basically what that means is it's a 0.28, but it has a 10th scale exhaust. Like, the exhaust port on this thing is just absolutely itty bitty, but the traxxas factory headers fits directly on this motor. So that is a cool thing, good thing. It's versatile. There's a lot of any traxxas vehicle this will fit on. However, in recent times, it's not easy to get aftermarket exhausts and all that stuff for traxxas products anymore. Especially if you were needing something for a Revo, they're pretty much non-existent. I have found a few aftermarket exhausts for a T-Max. I did get lucky, and I found a MIP setup for a 0.25. Now, I did try that on this motor, and it looked great on the truck. Absolutely amazing. However, the stinger on the pipe was just so small. I mean, just itty bitty. And so it made the motor, it was just super restrictive. The motor from nothing to a quarter was like stupid powerful. But then the power band was just, it went like that and then just flattened off. And there was just nothing more to be had with that motor. And so I, did some research. And what I ended up doing, I actually have a video of it on my channel. I put the traxxas resonator back on it, and I drilled the stinger out. And man, oh man, did that wake this little motor up. It's an absolute powerhouse now. There's something about that resonator that Traxxas did right. I know a lot of people, I see a lot of people, hating on it. But when it comes to, the 3.3s and whatnot, it's a fantastic pipe. The only thing I think that you could buy that's better would be a THS setup. Now, the RD Logic setup is very, very similar to the THS. I've noticed they're pretty much the same thing. So yeah, you're not. You're just real limited on options, unfortunately. Now, this one is brand new. It has never been ran. The one on my T-Max, obviously, I'm running. So let's start with the carb. Carb, let's see, is a long needle carb. This carb tunes extremely well. I've had no problems with it whatsoever. It is a plastic bodied carb, or composite. It's 2 needle, not 3. very basic, generic, amazing carb. Absolutely amazing. The traxxas carb can replace this carb on this motor. It is basically the same carb. The only difference is your venturi. The force venturi is a lot bigger than your traxxas 2.5 and 3.3 carb. Okay. We'll go with the crankcase next. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This exhaust port, you know, like I got a Savage header here, for instance. Okay. See the difference there? I mean, you know, that's not going to work. And so that's why it's extremely difficult for me to find anything amazing for my T-Max. Anyway, moving forward, it's got a steel inner bearing. It has a TW front bearing, so I imagine that's Taiwanese front bearing. Beautiful, you know, crankcase. I mean, this thing is just absolutely machined perfectly. You know, I don't know about, you know, how you guys feel about it, but I love force motors. You know, I'm not sure. Well, actually, I guess I shouldn't say that. I haven't heard anyone say anything really bad about force motors. And then once again, just to look at that exhaust port, it is cut and port shaped to the sleeve, which I think is just absolutely amazing. No O-ring in there. Yeah, just a standard, you know, crankcase here. Nothing fancy. Okay. Cooling head. Now, you can tell by the lines here that this is a cast cooling head. This is not machined, at least I don't believe so. I'm pretty positive because you can kind of see that all the way up it, that it's cast. But, you know, no shine cuts. It's just round, painted, standard, nothing fancy, but works. This motor on my T-Max runs just absolutely beautifully. Just crazy good. Yeah, nothing standard force pull start. Nothing fancy here. Back plate. So the back plate is non-interference. But if you guys can actually see in there, there is an O-ring. It's kind of easier to see from this side. But check that out. There is an O-ring in there. I don't know. Well, I can't get the camera to really focus on it. But there is an O-ring in there. And it, yeah, no problems with it. This motor seals and it's amazing. Starter shaft, nothing fancy. Just your typical force style starter shaft. Head button. This motor did not come with a glow plug, so it is just a standard style head button. It does have 2 shims. These are 0.2, so a shim stack of 0.04. And then let's look at the crank. So the crank is timed really well. It's not filled, unfortunately. I really wish it was. And it's not very sharp on the leading edge of the window. However, so it is cut. You know, it is cut out. It is shark finned. We do have one little scallop thing here, and you know, but no oil groove on the crank. Just a, you know, is what it is. And then, you know, it's spring for the starter pin, of course, but nothing real fancy here. Okay, let's move on to our sleeve. Okay, we will start at the exhaust port. So it is a decently wide exhaust port. It is flat topped. It's not ridiculously tall. It is pretty, standard force style exhaust port. And then let's go to the intake real quick. So we do have a split intake port. They are ramped. They are not fanged. They are directioned very, very well. I mean, it is perfectly cut and angled towards the center top of the cylinder here. And then moving on to the Schnurly ports. It's got a beautiful Schnurly port. It's wide, it's open, it's fanged, it's got a nice big fang. And then it also has the bypass port here to relieve, gases and whatnot, and also oiling the wrist pin. But yeah, this, like I said, this motor is so powerful. It is just absolutely amazing. I love that sleeve. Piston. Now, the piston is a flat topped. It has one oil groove, and it is cut for bypass. It has holes drilled on both sides. It's got a nice little skirt. Beautiful, beautiful cast piston. Connecting rod. Connecting rod is a very beefy connecting rod. It is nice. It is brass inserted. It is drilled, for lubrication. This is not knife edged at all. It does have some cute little bevel cuts there, but not knife edged. I would like to see a knife edge con rod here. This motor would just absolutely scream if it was knife edged, I'm sure. Okay, well, that's it. That's the Force 28R. Now you guys know why I can't really, change out the exhausts and stuff like that. I'm kind of stuck for whatever, whatever's available for Traxxas. I hope I can find some adapters, or maybe have something machined where, I could put a bigger exhaust on here and start running, different pipe combinations and whatnot. That would be cool to experiment with this motor and see how much power can be achieved here. I would also like to say, thank you for watching. I do appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out these little motor reviews that I've been doing. And if you're not subscribed, give me a subscription, hit that like button, and we will see you here very shortly. Thank you.